Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Buck Stops here. I am Catherine Murray. Well, if you're watching the market, you're certainly watching these tech stocks continue to climb. We've got the Mag 7 reporting this week, and the one that continues to lead the charge, and in fact crossed $5 trillion in market capitalization just the other day, continues to be NVIDIA. We're going to focus on tech stocks today. For that, Eric Jackson is joining us. He is the president and founder of EMJ Capital. Eric, great to be with you. There's so much to discuss in tech. It really is a pretty exciting time, I think. So thank you for being with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Great to be with you.
Thank you. Eric, why don't we just start with the Mag 7 and then for our viewers to understand, we're going to dig into some really interesting names that might not even be on the radar. But when we talk about the Mag 7, uh, and you look at an NVIDIA, what do you make of it, especially crossing this $5 trillion mark?
Well, I think it's the most interesting name of all the Mag 7 because obviously it's at the heart of AI. And what I find interesting about this market right now, Catherine, is that it seems like you can't turn on the business television news without somebody saying, oh, we're in an AI bubble. And yet, when you actually look at where NVIDIA trades at from like a historical kind of price to earnings perspective, it's actually cheaper today than it typically has traded at over the last 5 years, even before AI kind of burst onto the scene when ChatGPT 3 first came on in November of 2022. So I think even though we think there's an AI bubble, actually, like for Nvidia, it's actually been cheap historically speaking. And yet it has continued to blow the doors off with like increased like orders every quarter for their latest and greatest chips. So it's kind of I think the expectation has been that the revenue has been so big, like nobody's ever seen anything like it quarter after quarter, that I think Wall Street has sort of, felt this can't continue. Like we just haven't seen
Right.
anything like this. How can this go on? And yet it does. And then when they come out with their latest chips, the Blackwell chips, or next year they're going to come out with something called the Rubin chips, there's just even more demand for it. So I think we've finally seen the price for Nvidia, push up above $200 just in the last few days. And I think people are just sort of starting to throw in the towel and say, "Hey, maybe we have been too conservative. Maybe this thing is actually cheap relative to where it should be trading on a go forward basis." So I think it's one of the more interesting names of the group right now.
And the one concern though, and I do own NVIDIA and I'm glad to own it. But the concern though is that you will see some of these other large cap tech companies be able to somehow create competing chips. Where do you stand on that concern, that bearish concern on the stock?
Well, there have been some announcements just in the last 6 months from AMD, for example, has sort of made announcements about their line of AI chips that they're planning on selling very soon. And just a couple of days ago, Qualcomm actually, who traditionally had been focused on chips that go into our phones, the handset devices, they actually announced that they were going to be pushing into AI chips themselves. So, and there are Chinese players as well developing their own. So you're right that I mean, there's so much money that's being made right now. Like companies would be crazy not to try to, develop their own chips that they can sell and tap into this. But the thing is, like, you're talking about a company with NVIDIA where, they've been around for 25 years. They've been developing their product roadmap for 25 years, really, focusing in on the GPU space where, they have this like such an advantage. They also build the software that go around the chips that you use when you deploy these chips in the data center, which is just not something that other people can like pop up and immediately recreate within a few months or even years. So I think they're still the leader, and they've got quite a lead. It's not insurmountable, obviously. Like people can always come out of the woodwork, especially from China, but they're in a really
Mhm.
good spot competitively speaking.
Yeah, I agree. People do believe that it is, many, many years ahead of most competitors. But of course, the cost of the chips is one of the issues, and that's why we've seen people develop them. Quickly before we head to break, Apple's been an underloved story, I feel, for many years. What's your one liner on it today? And then we'll pick it up after the other break.
It's probably been the laggard of the Mag 7 all this year, just until the last month or so, and then they've been on a tear, and now they're at kind of all-time highs again, and I think it's just been people have been surprised that the latest iPhone 17 has been selling like hotcakes and probably is gonna sell like hotcakes into the holiday season.